But let's get into our first debate. Does Labour's asylum crackdown go far enough? 0207 862 2222. Or, crucially, does it go too far? Because you might think that, because there's some quite hefty policies in here. So they've got different angles. The Times says this is a visa ban they're talking about. You could say to a country like Namibia, if you don't take back failed asylum seekers, we won't allow any Namibians into Britain. That's the first thing. The Guardian has got a big old thing that includes the story about Shabana Mahmood here saying, look, you can't have all family members turning up because one gets asylum. You've got to limit it to husbands, wives, maybe sons and daughters, not brothers, not cousins. And then this is the big one. If you are given asylum, firstly, it can be revoked if your country becomes safe again. And secondly, you'll have to wait 20 years for permission to actually finally settle. What do you think, Helen? Too much?
I think there's elements that I agree with and elements that I don't. So it depends which one you can go to. But I think the 20 years probably is too much because they're also looking at reviewing every 2.5 years instead of 5 years. But they haven't got the resources to do all this. That's the thing. I think 20 years is too long. How can people settle properly? How can they really know the stuff? They can't.
No, but they also
10 would be more appropriate.
If you come from, say, Libya, and in 10 years, so you're 10 years into your settlement, and someone says, hey, let's have a look at Libya, it's calmed down. And you discover they've got local councils there, and they've got a prime minister who's sort of running a budget, and so, and you suddenly think, oh, it's safe now. And they send all the Libyans back?
Yeah.
Mike?
I mean, that could happen in Syria because actually Syria's doing quite well. It's becoming more stable. For instance, if a load of people had come to us from Argentina,
yes,
you'd be sending them back now because that's become more stable. But let's look at the political backdrop here. Shabana Mahmood is, in my view, being quite impressive about this. For a Labour Home Secretary to start acting tough, talking tough, the action might come later, is impressive. But the political backdrop is that she is trying to rally support as a potential future leader of the Labour Party, without a shadow of a doubt. And she knows that the first or second issue people talk about is immigration. I very much doubt if any of this will happen, not because Shabana Mahmood will back out, but our country is led by two of the most famous human rights lawyers in the world.
Who's the other one?
Lord Hermer, who is our Attorney General. He's one of the most famous human rights lawyers in the world. Sir Keir Starmer, one of the most famous human rights lawyers in the world. The two issues that Shabana Mahmood has got to concentrate on, the Human Rights Act, Clause 8 and Clause 3. Clause 8 is about having access to your family at all times. Clause 3 is not being treated disrespectfully by the country.
Will she trying to rewrite that? You see, that's the thing. Do you think she can rewrite that?
She can't. She won't be allowed to in this country.
Well, I think she will try to, and I think she'll have a lot of the public backing to try and do so.
But she won't have the backing of her Prime Minister.
Are yet to
or the
see.
Labour majority.
Exactly.
Quite possibly that would happen, but I think it depends how much the public push. I think because what people want to see change. And actually, family. I think if you said to people who's your family, they would say your close family is this. So actually, we don't want everybody's cousins and all this. I think there is a lot of common sense there, and I know we don't often see common sense in politics, but
I agree there's common sense if they can carry it out, but they can't, because we know that the whole Labour Party, with a huge majority on the backbenches, is controlled by those backbenchers, who a lot of them are first... Yeah, it is.
But I've got an important reservation here.
Yeah.
They are starting to panic already. They want to stay in the House of Commons. Yeah. It's a great job. And they're starting to realise a lot of them are going to lose their seats, and I mean a lot.
If they lose the election.
I mean, the latest prediction was that Reform would get more than 400 MPs. Yeah. So they may think this is our only salvation.
Well, I don't think they know what they want because they're so inexperienced, right? And the first thing they'll do is try and get a new leader. The Greens, in one poll over the weekend, have got more support than Labour. They're in terrible, terrible trouble. But this won't happen because all those backbenchers want... even laxer rules on immigration. They want people in this country, they do. They love people flowing into our country because they love diversity, they love the idea of changing the landscape in Britain.
No, I don't think it is. I think there is a place for legal migration, and where we've got gaps in the market, but
we've got 10 million people in this country who don't work.
Yeah, but you have already said that it's probably the number two issue for the public. So they have got to do something. The backbenchers will be concerned about their jobs. They know they've got to do something. So why would you choose anything other than doing what the public want?
Let's pause here. Let's take a break. We'll take your calls on this. Does the asylum crackdown by Shabana Mahmood go far enough? Give us a call now with your thoughts. 020 7862 2222 is the number you need. Before the break, we asked where would a troglodyte live, and we gave you a forest, an igloo, a cave. The troglodyte would live in a cave. Yeah, so that's where that band The Trogs comes from, I think, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Welcome back. We're live on 5 with Helen and Mike, and later your calls on whether wealthy pensioners should have free travel passes taken away. There's been a bit of a bust-up between Kirsty Allsop and someone else. Now, let's get your calls on whether Labour's asylum crackdown goes far enough. The Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, is due to announce tougher new rules for those seeking asylum in a speech this afternoon. Let's just have a look. I was thinking last night about this famous poster here. Do you remember this poster from the First World War? And it was known as Lord Kitchener Wants You. So it's a 1914 advertisement by Alfred Leet, which was developed into a recruitment poster. He wants you to sign up. He's pointing at the camera. And it depicts Lord Kitchener, British Secretary of State for War. And I thought, well, what would be the equivalent now with Shabana Mahmood? Could we sort of change it and put her in here? Let's have a look at this. So we'll just adjust it and maybe adjust the hair to fit the cap and all that. And that's good. And then we need to find a hand from somewhere. So let's just get a random person's hand. Because it's not pointing now, is it? It's that sign. It's the stop sign. There we are. He was pointing. She's saying stop. It's very, very different. And we need to adjust the text on it. So it's non-Britons. Shabana Mahmood doesn't really want you. There we are. Vote Labour. So that's the new version of this poster. And it may be, if she's watching the show, she says, no, wait a second, Jeremy. This is not really not what I intend by what I've been announcing. No, we've got it all wrong. So it may be this is unfair on her. However, this is how it comes over without a doubt. Let's have a look at the individual planks in this, and we've touched on them already. So they're tough. The first one, probably the big headline, asylum seekers will have a 20-year wait before they can settle permanently. So imagine you come into this country this year, you're saving the date in 2045 when you can say, I've finally arrived and I'm settled. Secondly, countries that don't take back failed asylum seekers will be punished. They'll be denounced. And there's three in particular that have been mentioned in Africa. The Democratic Republic of Congo, I'll just circle them here, Angola, Namibia, have been not very forthcoming about taking back failed asylum seekers. Their citizens won't be able to travel to Britain if they don't start taking back failed asylum seekers. Thirdly, refugee status reassessed every 2 years. So if your country becomes safe, you'll do a U-turn and be sent back there. So you'll always be kind of in suspense about whether they're going to activate that. And then also tighter rules on family reunions and this whole right to family life being redefined. So the right to family life is not the right to have your second cousin come and live with you. It's basically sons and daughters and your spouse, and that's it. So it's tough. It is tough. And obviously they want to get one over on reform, as it's clear, isn't it?
Well, certainly reforms an influence on them, but it's great that you pointed out that poster, the Kitchener poster, because Shabana Mahmood, our Home Secretary, is heavily influenced by the Danish model.
That's right.
Very heavily influenced. And do you know that the thing that the Danish government do is they put out messages on social media which say quite explicitly, you are not welcome in Denmark, do not come. Right? They actually do that.
So that's the equivalent of the hand up, isn't it? That's that.
Exactly. Yeah. Don't come. Now, the problem...
And then maybe she needs to do that poster.
Maybe she does, but she's got a big problem because the pull factor here is enormous. In Denmark, you don't get anything. And if your appeal to stay there is turned down, there is no appeal to that decision. Sorry, if your decision is no appeal, right?
Right.
But here, for some mad reason, We give them 4 or 5 star hotels. We give them spending money, give them 3 meals a day. We give them driving lessons in some cases. We give them...
you can appeal as well.
They can appeal forever.
Yeah.
They can appeal forever.
Helen, you sort this out or not?
Well, I think you can't compare us with Denmark.
Why not?
Because it's a very much smaller country. They have fewer people in.
They've got to be even more careful.
Yeah, but they also have the infrastructure, which we don't have. They enforce language classes. We don't do any of that.
They do.
They provide housing. We don't do any of that. So there are things that Denmark do that we don't do. We haven't got the infrastructure.
They have about 2,000 a year, I gather. Yeah,
we get more than that a day.
But sorry, they don't provide housing. They do the opposite. What they say is, if you can't come here and look after yourself, then you will have to go. And the other great thing that they've done in Denmark, because they're worried about the societal change, they have the thing called hygge in Denmark. We all know what that is, don't we? It's a Scandinavian way of life.
Hygge?
Yes, the hygge is the Scandinavian way of life.
Right.
And that's, when you see people sitting in saunas and people make fun of people in Scandinavia for, the way of life, they want to preserve that.
Yes.
So they say we will not allow groups of immigrants who come to this country to all live in the same place. You will be dispersed.
Yeah.
We will not have what they would call ghettos growing up of foreigners coming to the country. They're very, very strict about it.
The strictest bit of the Danish part, which Shabana Mahmood hasn't said she's going to do, is if you get an area where you've got, let's say, an estate where you've got more than 50% immigrants,
exactly,
you will knock it down.
They will knock the houses down and they will disperse those people to other parts of the country.
Doesn't that strike you as absolutely punitive?
No, it strikes me as being absolutely firm. And the point is, when people come, they know exactly what the rules are in Denmark.
So
nobody knows what the rules are in this country.
OK, Lucy in Essex, what do you think of what Shabana Mahmood is doing?
It won't make any difference whatsoever. We're notoriously bad at sending anyone back anyway. So I don't see how it's going to help anything.
The bit of the Human Rights Act that's imported into British law she'll have to change. And Mike is right, they may have the Labour MPs kicking up about that. And somebody's been described as being on resignation watch already.
Exactly.
I don't know. But let's see if they can change the Human Rights Act. They can do it, maybe, Lucy?
Well, the thing is, I think all of this is a conspiracy, that they're allowing this problem to fester intentionally to make us leave the ECHR. That's all they're all going on about. We need to leave the ECHR. And all that will do is erode our citizens, bona fide citizens' rights in the long run.
Can't we just say, look, the human rights only apply to people with British passports? Can we not do that?
Exactly. Apart from the general ones, like you have the right to not be tortured, obviously, that there should be a set rules for visitors and then set rules for citizens. Yeah,
well, I thought you were going to disagree with me on that, because I thought human rights are universal.
That's exactly what I said on Storm Show when all of the MPs are off on their summer break. I said on Storm Show they need to change the rules on family law, and then they went back and the first thing they did was change the rules on family law. So I think they were listening.
A lot of them watched. Yeah. Thank you, Lucy. Bless you. John in Norwich. Hi.
Good morning.
What do you think? She's come out with a full... I mean, it's like that thing where, in the movie, where the guy walks into a bank and says, I'm here to chew gum or kick ass. I'm clean out of gum. And that's what Shabana Mahmood has done.
Yeah,
John, what do you think? I'm clean out of gum.
Well, I think what I would recommend the government do is to shut up and get on with it. I do not know why we have to keep discussing all these details and then not get anywhere.
Do you think they should just say, look, we were wrong to cancel Rwanda and we're going to bring it back? Because that would make a statement.
Well, I think we should ignore Rwanda and include all the other countries that these people come from.
But it's hard to return. Some of them you can't return them. That's the trouble.
You don't know where they come from.
Well, there's that. You can't return anyone to France.
Well, I just think it's got out of control, and they are headless chickens running around and just saying things to shut people up. The voters, keep them quiet. We'll just keep promising things. And I gave an example to your young lady on the phone that I'm a family man with 4 children living in a 2-bedroom flat. I can't afford anything. But so what I did to actually help, I went out and bought 4 dogs, 16 cats, 2 rabbits, and a parrot. I forgot to mention the parrot.
Yeah.
And then I realised that didn't help either. And this is what we're
why
doing.
did you ever think it was going to help?
Well, that's what this government keeps doing.
No, I understand, but there's got to be some logic, surely,
Well, these people keep.
But the idea, John.
They don't do nothing.
Hang on. The analogy is this: these dogs and cats that you've got look after you in your old age. That's what we're told.
Yeah, I suppose there is that to it. But
that's the analogy, right? And then maybe that does. I don't know, Helen. What do you think? That's why we need so many people to look after us when we're old and grey.
We do, but I think there are 2 different issues about legal immigration and asylum seekers. They are 2 very different things. And I think also what you've got to look at is that if you're going to say we're going to review asylum seekers or the status every 2.5 years, that's going to be more cost. So if you're going to keep doing that, actually, you're never going to... We can't process the people that are here, so we're going to put more money into reviewing.
The whole thought is you do what Australia did, where you make it sound so horrible to come that people don't come. And I hate to put it like that. But Australia said, we're going to put you on a small island. I think it was 1/2 of Papua New Guinea or something.
No, Easter Island.
Easter Island.
To Easter Island, OK. And they just said, you get within 15 miles of Australia, we're going to push the boats back. And now they don't have any illegal immigrants in Australia. Yeah, and also, remember, please, in Europe, Greece are doing exactly the same thing. And everybody says Greece is in contravention of the Human Rights Act. And Greece said, we don't care. We're getting overfull of people. We're keeping that. Denmark doing the same thing. We already spoke about. Italy are doing the same thing. We've got to stop people coming here. Not make up rules about what happens to them when they get here. Stop them coming to the UK.
You agree with that?
That's what I agree. Yeah, because all the measures that she's talking about actually are going to cost more money. If you don't, if you stop the boats and turn people back, you're not going to have all those costs that she's actually going to incur.
Stopping the boats is very difficult, as we know, because it's easier to have a land border. Trump has stopped anyone coming over from Mexico. I mean, the figures have dropped to virtually zero. He's put half the American army on the border. Yeah. If we do that on our border, we'll end up with boats going down and people drowning, and the Defence Secretary will have to resign.
But if we organised it properly and said it is illegal to step onto the shores of Great Britain unless you have permission. No. And we say, you're not stepping onto the shores of Great Britain. The minute you step
what happens when your boat just comes out on the tide? You push it back?
What happens is you get off at Folkestone, you walk up the steps to the top of Folkestone Harbour, you walk round the corner, you get back on a boat, and the boat has written on the side, migrant return boat. And then you take them back.
Where does it go?
To France.
No, it doesn't. The French won't accept them.
Well, the French will have
the same view as you. We'll push it back.
We've given the French £700 million, so we've got to get real with the French.
But they've just pocketed it. After the break, we're taking more of your calls on whether Labour's asylum crackdown goes far enough. Do they mean it? Shabana Mahmood probably does, but can she do it? 0207 862 2222 is the number you need. We'll see you shortly. Before the break, we asked, St. George is also the patron saint of which country? Is it Venezuela, Slovenia, or Ethiopia? It's actually the last one, Ethiopia. So, Helen and Mike are with us this morning. Later, we're asking whether people who are caught fly tipping should be sent to jail instantly. Or, by the way, we've got this film of this unbelievable fly tip. If your details are found in there, you should go to jail. Because there is no possible reason why a law-abiding person's rubbish can be in that pile. Well, we'll discuss that. Hold fire, Mike, for a sec. It is obscene. And it's at the size where it could be visited, literally, it could have a tourist come and visit it. It's absolutely ridiculous. OK, let's talk more about asylum, the crackdown. Are Labour going far enough? They're trying to fight reform off. Shabana Mahmood has gone quite right-wing on it. Sinead on Facebook said, far enough, it's way too far. So that's interesting, isn't it? There's a 20-year wait before you settle permanently. Adrian on Facebook said, I believe it's a small step in the right direction, but as far as I can tell, this will take years to accomplish with many votes by people with a vested interest in keeping the system as it currently is. Maria's in Portsmouth. What do you think, Maria? Far enough or too far?
Right, what I'm going to say is first we put them on old military camps, not in hotels, so we know who they are and what they're up to. So then we make this country safe. They're young men. They've left women and children back in a dangerous situation. So how dangerous is it really? Let's ask that question. because we're not asking that.
OK, no, fine. But I've seen a story recently. They got a military camp on the go somewhere, and where is it? Crowborough. All the residents have gone potty about it because they just don't want that to happen.
I used to live on a military camp. It's the best place to put them. They're young men of a certain age, of a religious group. We have no idea what they're doing here. They've left women and children to face the danger they face themselves.
Yeah, no, I understand.
So we have to make this clear.
OK. But isn't Labour's plan even going further than that? Because it's not really about what we do now. It's about how we try to make it less appealing to come to this country.
Well, it's quite simple. If we put them in places, not hotels, that gives them the message straight away. It's not going to be easy in this country. So they're not going to have the nice lifestyle that they're already seeing all their friends have.
Yeah, maybe the hotels have gone... Do you think the hotels have gone badly from that point of view? Because the word gets out, come to Britain, you'll be put in a hotel. I don't know. I
think if you're fleeing a war-torn country, I think it's the last thing.
But many of them don't, Helen. Helen, for goodness sake, we know many hundreds of thousands of them are not fleeing war-torn countries. They are not. They are simply young men looking for a better life. Can't blame them for it, but we cannot be the breadbasket of the world.
But it's got to be more about preventing, the costs of keeping them.
Beryl in Hertfordshire, hi. Hey, Beryl.
Hello.
Hey, Beryl.
Yes.
How are you?
I'm fine. I think what they should be doing is protecting our borders. Just put 3 warships on our borders, pointing at that beach, and maybe the French will start stopping the boats, or it will put them off.
I mean, we've been round the houses a little bit on this, but let's just try this again. So 2 dinghies come towards the 3 warships. Do you give the captain permission to fire?
No. What I'm saying is, if they see the ships there, it might put them off getting in the boat in the first place.
But the thing is that
we're making them too welcome. We're making them too welcome.
They'll know, because our Navy has a great reputation, that they will be rescued by the naval personnel on the warships.
What it's there to do is protect the border. Stop anybody coming through it.
OK. I mean, we do come back to this again. Would you do this, Helen?
I think it's very easy to say, look, protect our borders, put everything here and stop them and send them back to France. But if France say no and they come back, what are you going to do? You're just going to have this. You're going to just have ping-pong.
Ping-pong.
I totally agree. But as I say, 700 million to France. You say to France, you build a camp now on a more remote part of your coast and we will tow the boats back. What Australia did was, when the rubber boats came, they had frames into which those boats were put, and then they were towed away to Easter Island or somewhere else.
They were towed away?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Where would you tow them to, Beryl?
I tow them back to where they come from.
Like France,
they're getting in those boats, and what nobody's taking note of, they're throwing and tearing up their passports to know who they are, so nobody knows who they are. And they're coming into this country. Some of them are criminals. And let's face it, where did they get the money from to pay the boat people in the first place? OK,
thank you, Beryl, so much. Andrew in London, what do you think?
Hi, Jeremy. I just think that this inhuman conversation that we're having about people, especially Mike, and it's just so un-British, and it's doing more damage in the long term. I mean, look, we have a problem because the media have hyped this situation to no ends. We are the least of all the countries that take people on. We have to sort this out. But
you think we should take them in and take them on, yeah?
No, listen. I think that we need to get our own act in order as a country and stop blaming everything on the migrants. It's such a weak argument. We need to sort our situation out, but we're going about it such an inhuman.
Mike, they're being used as the scapegoat for everything.
Honestly, Peter, I can't understand what you're saying is so inhuman about giving somebody a 4-star hotel, about giving them spending money, about allowing them to stay here. There's nothing inhuman about what the attitude we take to immigrants.
I understand what you're saying, but please stop the the nonsense about 4-star. My cousin lives in Folkestone. They are not 4-star. Some of them have got rats in them. I'd like to think if you're in a situation, Mike, and you needed help, you were treated like a human being. The way you talk is really unbecoming of a British human being.
No, it's not. I'm sorry, it's not, yes, and I reject what you're saying.
You do it regularly.
No,
and I really appreciate the fact that there are some people that know there is a problem and they still have the courtesy to talk about these people.
We're taken for mugs. We're taken for mugs. You know that, and I know if you're being a bit horrible about immigrants. Immigrants are changing the face of our country, and we are absolutely entitled to try and do something about it.
We don't have to do things with this anger. We can do it in a way that it's respectful as a human being.
How is that?
A human being.
How is that? How will we do that?
Take down your way of describing human beings. They're not all criminals.
I don't think he said that.
I didn't say they were criminals.
He just said that they shouldn't be staying in hotels and whatnot. Yeah. Thank you, Andrew, very much indeed for your passion there. Thanks for all your calls on this. Later we'll be asking whether instant jail is the way to deal with people who fly tip after that happened in Oxfordshire. And also, by the way, find out the details of the people whose rubbish is there and jail all of them as well. After the break, your calls on whether wealthy pensioners should have their free travel passes taken away. 020 7862 2222. See you in a moment.